Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to use the Planners Anon Digital Creative kits, even if you don't have a cutting machine. So let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so one of the most regularly asked questions I get when it comes to Planners Anonymous is how do you use the creative kits? The creative kits are a reasonably new acquisition in what's the word I'm looking for? Product, I guess, to the line of what Planners Anonymous does, and it can be a little overwhelming. So what I'm going to do first, I hope, I'm just going to open my email and I'm just going to show you. It comes, so I'm just going to get out of this bit. So it comes as a, here is your email. This is what you've purchased. So for me, I grabbed the PlannerLove creative kit. I also grabbed a couple of the stuff for the planner party that's coming up this weekend, which you can then go ahead and download. All you do then is you click this download link, which I've obviously blurred out for obvious reasons because I don't want to accidentally give away stuff I'm not supposed to, and then you click download. Now I've already done that. It's already sitting here on my hard drive, so I don't need to worry about that, but I just wanted to show you it's that simple. When it comes down, now I have a Mac, which I know a lot of people don't, but it is very, very simple. Once you've sort of got it down, you just open up your downloads folder, wherever that is, and you can then, it'll come as a zip folder. If you've got a PC, you might have to unzip that. Usually you can just right click it, it'll go unzip and magic will happen. As a Mac, I just double click it and opens it up, and then you get these folders. So you get your artwork folder, your papers folder, your quotes, your Werribee. You get a digital kit terms of use. So if you open that up, it'll open a Adobe file. I can just get rid of that, that's fine. It's got copyright and angel policy, goes through everything, print release, so that if you do take it to Officeworks or Staples or anything like that, you can print these and they'll allow you to do so. Same thing with cutting. You also get a label, and you also get like the icon, I guess, of one of words. Then you get all of the artwork, all of the papers, and I'm not going to scroll through all of them, but just to be able to sort of see everything you get here, you get plenty of bits of artwork, peonies, etc, 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 etc. Then you get full page papers, which can be printed to 12 by 12, sorry. I'll only ever print them on A4 because that's what I've got here at home, but I could take these to Officeworks or Staples or something and print them on 12 by 12. The quotes and the Werribee are then really good to just sort of add in to whatever you're doing, cut out, print, whatever you're doing. So there we go, that's the file. So all you need to get started with this is a computer that can open a zip file. So this is where your iPads and stuff aren't going to help you. And also you're going to need a printer because you're going to need to print these out. The next question I get is, how do I know what size to print? Okay, so this is when we're going to come back into the real world for a second. So when it comes to actually deciding what project I'm going to make, I like to have an idea of the project I want before I get started, because then I can start working out sizes. You guys know me, I don't like rulers. I need to see things. I need to feel things for them to be real. So the project we're going to make today, so in my social media planner, I go through not all, but a bunch of the old kits. I'll pull them down and I'm just picking one out of the top of my head. I'll pick Peacock Ballet, and that'll be my theme for the month. And I'll decorate my entire monthly setup with Peacock Ballet. I forget though which ones I've used and I don't really want to go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a list and tick them off as I've done them. So I want this to be a B6 wide, so to fit in my social media melody planner. I want this to be a B6 wide openable page. So there we go, that's the start of what I know I want. So everything I'm going to make from this point onwards, I know is needing to fit on a B6 piece of paper. So this is when you've got two choices. It really does depend, actually you've got more than two, but we'll go with two. You can use a word processing program, such as Word, Google Docs. You can even use PowerPoint or Google Slides, I think that's what it's called, or the Apple equivalents, which I don't use, I'm sorry. Or you can use Photoshop if you have Photoshop. I have both. I have Word and I have Photoshop. I'm going to show you how I'm going to put it into into Word, and I'm also going to show you Photoshop. So let's start off with Word. So I'm going to open up my Word. I'm going to open a blank document, which is going to take me a second. Come on. There we go. And I'm going to go File. I'm going to go, where is it? I've got to remember. Haven't done this for so long. Layout, that's what I wanted. Go Size. And I'm going to go B6. No, I'm not. I'm going to go, need to make this bigger. Okay. If you go to Tell Me, here we go. So I'm going to go Manage Custom Sizes because my B6 wide is actually a little bit bigger than this. It's actually 135 by 175, I think. I'll confirm that. So I'm just going to go OK for a sec. And I'm just confirming it by going into Photoshop because I know I've got it set up in Photoshop. So if I go B6 wide, 135 by 179, so there we go. More paper sizes. So I'm going to do 135 by 179. And I'm going to change this to be called B6 wide. And I'm going to go OK. Right, now that's going to give me the actual sort of size of my paper. But when I print it, I'm going to print it on A4, but this is for size reasons only. So, the difference between when you're printing this on or using Photoshop and using Word is that Word is going to treat this like a document that you type in. It's going to want to put things in certain places to make it all line up. So for example, if I go artwork and I really want to use, I want to use this notepad. I'm actually going to use it as a notepad. If I try and do this and make it be sort of the size of the page and then want to move it up and around, see how it doesn't really want to let me do that? That's because it's thinking of it as a Word document, as a document that I'm going to type stuff on, so it's trying to keep margins and stuff like that. This is really just for sizing. You don't need it to stay on this, so it's absolutely fine to do it. So I'm going to hit New, and I've now got a page here that I'm pretty sure is A4, so I'm just going to double check. Layout, size, A4, yes it is. So I've now got this, and I know that's the right size, and I can go copy, and I can go paste, and I can go paste. It's now got two, because I want two of them. I can, if I go wrap text and I go square, I can spin this around and try and move it around a little bit to try and give me a little bit more bang for my buck when it comes to printing. It's still not going to allow me to pull it like right up here into the corner, but it will give me a little bit more grace. Same thing here if I want to grab, for example, what else do I want? I want a couple of these floral bouquets. I want this floral bunch. Okay, I'm actually going to use this as a pocket. So for this floral bunch, I need to bring it in here. And I actually need to make this be bigger than my actual page. So, because I want it to be not a complete pocket, but I want it to sort of sit there. So, you can see here, I'm a little short because it's this one. So if I go layout and I go margins and I go custom and I go 0, 0, 0, 0, that's okay. I want to ignore that problem. Again, this is for sizing reasons only. It's not for actual printing. So I can get away with this. So I can then, that's to B6 size. I can go copy. I can go paste. This is obviously going to need another page, which is fine. I'll just do that. And that's going to be B6 size. I'm hoping you're sort of understanding what I'm doing here. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to show you the same thing that I've just been doing in Photoshop, because to me Photoshop makes a little bit more sense. This is going to be, I'm just going to grab this one because it's going to be just a normal one. So I'm going to drag this into my B6 sized bit of paper. So again, this is for sizing only. This is not to print, it's not to do anything. It's just so I can see how big it is in comparison to everything else. So I'm going to make that square. It means oh actually no, I'm not. I'm going to make it in front of text so it'll sit over the top of things. So you can see here, I can sort of see what it would look like if I put it on top of something. It's just to gauge your size. So I'm quite happy with that. Copy, paste, and in fact I'm going to go and print a couple of them because I can. Because I've got this bit of paper and I might as well. It's that simple. It really is. Word, Google Docs, those sort of things, they will all work in very similar kind of things. My biggest thing for you is if you can work out the size that you're printing your image on. So get yourself one of these bits that's cut to the, or is the canvas of the size of what you want to use. When you put it onto an A4 and print it, it will then make sense. So I'm going to do the exact same thing here. I'm just going to do it in Photoshop. So I'm going to, that's my B6, which sounds silly because it's the bigger one, but it's the right one. So I want to get one of these. I want it to be about that size because it's going to sit in the pocket. I'm going to go into this one and I'm going to copy and paste. Whoops, didn't work. Where did that go? Oh, I didn't hit enter. Duh. So that's about the size I want it. Go. And the good thing is with Photoshop, I can squish things onto a page a little bit more. So I can get 4 of these onto a sheet instead of just 2. Because it doesn't have quite so much margins for me. International paper A4 again. So this is my second sheet. Delete that because I don't need it. I want my... where is it? Floral bunch, which is going to be my pocket. I'm actually going to do something cheeky and I'm going to print this on Vellum and it's going to look gorgeous. So I'm just making that to be as big as I want it. Control C, into this one. Come on. Oh, I know why. Forgot to press enter again. When you drop things into Photoshop, you have to actually place them. I always forget. So that's not actually placed until I hit enter. Now it's placed. Copy, paste. So anything here I would want to be in Vellum because this page is going to be Vellum. Because I don't want anything else to be Vellum at this point. I'll just leave it alone. Delete that. I also want to get... Now this is where I'm going to be a little tricky. I'm going to show you guys something fun. I want the floral... Where is it? I know I've seen it, I just can't remember what it's called. There it is. This is the... I don't know if it's called the bunch or what it's called, but I want it so it's going to print back to back. So I want it to sit down the side of my page. So it's going to be a little bit of a funny shape. There we go. So that's how big I want it. So I'm going to go copy, and I'm going to go paste, and then I'm going to do that. Whoops. And enter. And then go copy again and paste. And then I'm going to flip it. Now I've got to remember how to do this. Someone's going to go to me, that's so easy, I can't believe you didn't remember how to do it. But I don't play in Photoshop as often as I should. That's it, I knew it was something simple. So you go into edit and you go down here to transform and you go flip vertical? No, flip horizontal. I always do it. So now you can see they'll line up when I cut them out. They'll mirror each other. So there we go. Alright, so I've got those two. I'm also going to grab just a couple of other bits. Don't need the washi, don't need the thought bubble. So I'm going back to this page, which is going to be my acetate, my vellum, sorry. And I'm going to grab one of the quotes. I'm going to grab this one here that says you can do anything. And I want it to be so that it kind of, whoops, I always do that. Make it go straight again. Enter, there we go. So it sort of sits about the same size, scale wise. Okay, I think that's all I needed to have. I can add things along the way as I want them. The other thing that I can do, and that I will do, is I want to print 2 of the papers. So I'm just going that to A4. I'm going to the papers, and I'm getting this one. Now this is completely up to you, and it depends on which way you want to use it. I want this to print as if it was horizontal, because that's the way that my page is going to sit. So I'm just flipping that to 90 degrees. I know there is a way you can do that that's easier, and I'm just going to make it bigger till it fits my page. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing with another A4 sheet. And I'm going to get, this paper is absolutely stunning. I love how simple it is. And I think it's, if you hold shift, yeah, there we go. If you hold shift, it'll stick in the 90 degrees bits. So again, just making that big enough that it'll sit on the page. And I'm going to print these 2, so the 2 pieces of paper, I'm going to print them back to back. So they're going to come out on the same bit of paper. So this is where you need your printer. Very simple. That one's my regular B6 size, so that I don't need that right now. So I'm going to go print. I'm going to send this to my Canon printer. I've got it all sorted. I'm going to hit print, and I'm going to come back, and we're going to cut all of these out, and we're going to make our little pocket. So we've learned how to put things into a file. We've learned how to size them the right way. Now comes the next hardest part. Do I need a cutting machine to use this? No! In fact, I have so rarely used a cutting machine, it's just not worth it. This is my cutting machine. They are a pair of scissors, and they do the job. You can put these into a cutting machine and you can get it to cut it all out, but why? Honestly, it takes longer just to cut it than just to cut it out yourself. So let's sort of do some of this together. So let's have a look at what we actually printed there. So this is my vellum piece. Normal piece of vellum, there's nothing fancy here. It's not as vibrant as the Planners Anonymous kind of stuff. I'm just going to turn this off because it's rather noisy. It's quietened down at least, so I can go from here. So it's not as vibrant as the Planners Anonymous, but that actually may be my printer. I'm just about out of ink, so I'm going to, leave it at, blame the printer. Then you have the double-sided page, which actually worked out beautifully. So I have recently changed my paper. So I used to use the Canson drawing paper. I've flipped over to this one here. This is the A4 Premium Digital Paper from J. Burrows. It's 120 GSM, and it feels lovely. It's still not as thick as the PA cardstock, but it's not cardstock, it's paper. But as you can see, you can't really see that side from that side and vice versa. It doesn't bleed, it comes up really pretty, and I think it's a little bit smoother, so it'll foil better, because the Canson paper was really textured, so it foiled really poorly. So that's what I'm thinking here. I have my 2 sort of side bits, and I have my notepad. So there we go. This is all of the elements that I'm going to use. Is there more to use? Heck yes, I could make stuff with this forever, but we're not going to. So I'm going to start off with the notepads, because this is how simple this is. Like, why would you even need a Cricut machine for this? Or a Silhouette for that matter. Now, when it comes to machines, Sammy was talking about this in her YouTube live that she did on Monday, so I'll link that down below if you want to go and check it out. Machines are picky. So I've had my Cricut for two years-ish, maybe a little bit more than that. I find that it is absolutely amazing for cutting vinyl, for doing your infusible inks, for doing wood projects, for doing paper projects, for doing cards, for doing so much stuff. It's not as great for print and cut. It still can do it, I just find it very frustrating. So for that reason, I try to avoid print and cut. It's just a personal preference. I can make the Silhouette work, but I just don't need to for things like this. Look, I printed it, I cut it out, it's that easy. When it comes to obviously these ones, this is a little bit more work. And this will come down to how you like to fussy cut. So do you like to leave a slight white border around the edge, or do you like to cut right up to it? For this project, I'm going to cut right up to it. So I'm just going to take my time here. This will take a while, but I can tell you there are few things better in this world than sitting down on your couch with a bit of paper and a pair of scissors and just fussy cutting. Is it going to be perfect? No. Are these going to line up 150% perfectly and look wonderful? Probably not. But am I going to make it work? Yes, I am. So, perseverance. Perseverance. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting all of these sort of elements out, and we're going to come back and we're going to put it all together. Alright, that took me about 20 minutes. And yeah, I could have gone faster, I could have gone slower. So I have the 4 bits of note paper. These are really easy because they're just squares, so that's not a big issue. They have actually almost cut out exactly perfectly each time. When it came to the vellum, I deliberately left a little sort of edge on it. Complete personal preference. You can cut right up to the edge if you want to. I just felt for the vellum, especially on this side, it was probably going to be a bit much. This was hard. This probably took the longest. But I just want to show you. So if I put these together, this is why we mirrored them. Oh no, sorry. Whew, for a minute there I thought I'd done it wrong. If I put them together, yeah, I can see a little bit of white. There's a little bit here that I couldn't get to, which I could if I really, really, really wanted to. I could get in there with a craft knife or an X-Acto knife and probably fix the problem. All I'm going to do in a minute when I put all this together is, if I can really see some, I'm just going to come in with like a grey marker and we'll fix that up. That's not too bad. That's it. Is it easier to use a machine? It's going to save your fingers, because I'll tell you one thing, my hands hurt. But these are also not the best scissors for fussy cutting. They are my favourite scissors. I love them, but they don't really have they don't have any cushioning here at all. So it's metal on my fingers. They're not really great for getting right in the edges. So you just sort of deal with it. You deal with what you've got. All right, let's actually make this project now, because I'm starting to sort of get sick of waffling. So the first thing I'm going to do is just trim my edges. Now my printer doesn't cut edge to edge. Doesn't print, sorry, edge to edge. If you take this to a printer, to Officeworks or Staples, they may be able to print edge to edge. My printer just can't do it. So I'm just trimming off the white around the sides. Because I am doing a B6 page, that doesn't matter. It makes absolutely no difference because we're going to be trimming it down anyway. So for my B6, this is why I've already got this size. I have deliberately already kind of worked out where I want to fold this, which now is actually even smaller because I want to have these flowers on the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this where I want it, where I think I want it. And then I can do my trimming to size, and then I can continue, I can then work everything out from there. So I'm just folding that just by hand. I'm not getting my scoring tool or anything. So this is going to be the outside, and this is going to be the inside, and I'm going to put the pocket, I actually think I'm going to put on this side. Now I was a little clever. When I printed this out, I realised that I'd done it too big. I had done it to sit across the front of the B6, which I still think it's probably that big. I may have to just sort of trim the edges a little bit to get it to sit where I want it to, but that's fine. That's fine. Alright, so I'm going to trim the white bits off the top and the bottom, and then we'll get the size right. You also don't need a guillotine trimmer. Any kind of trimmer will work. And then once I've got that, I put the piece of paper that I'm already sure is the right size. I'll put this in here, line it up, work out exactly what I'm happy to cut off, which is the top. Place her in there, line it up against the tape, make sure it's straight. And you know what the best thing is? If I stuff it up, I can just print another one. And then all I need to do now is sort out my width, which I will do in just a sec, because I'll have to cut off bits of each side. Okay, so I want my flowers to sit down the edge, but the problem that I have there is I still need to put the holes in. So this is now the right height, which means I can punch my holes. So this is my Kiki adjustable hole punch. I need to do this bit first. I need to organise the width before I punch the holes. Okay. Right, so I'm going to trim to the right width, and then I can trim the front part. So again, I just like to do it this way because I'm sure it's right. It just helps me be comfortable more than anything else. Whoops, that was close. I cut the wrong side. So again, up against the tape, it's the benefit of this sort of raised tape. Doesn't matter if that's not perfect because we're going to fix it in a minute anyway. So that's that, right? Which means we can go ahead and punch. So I've got little markings on the top and the bottom so I know where this needs to go. So I'm going to slide this in and punch. Make sure it's straight, make sure it's in the right spot. Again, if I stuff it up, I can just print a new one. And then we can work out where that needs to sit so it's not over the rings. So that's the hardest part. It needs to not sit over the rings. So that actually fits really pretty just there. So if I stick it, grab a pencil, I'm going to cut it here. It may be wrong, but it will be too little cut off, not too much. So I can always cut off a little bit more. Yeah, so I think I need to cut off a little bit more. Can flip this over. Which way did I have it before? I had it that way before, didn't I? Because it's not going to interrupt too many of the rings. That's sort of what I'm trying to avoid. So I'm just going to mark just there. I'm going to cut that off and then I'm going to stick this down. So I'm just going to stick it down with glue tape. It'll look very like I've cut off 3/4 of this, but I promise you it'll work. So piece of scrap paper, glue tape. The reason I'm using glue tape is because I want this to get onto every little bit. So I'm actually doing the little bits first. So making sure I get all the little edging bits. I'm being very careful when I pull them up so I don't accidentally tear them. But again, if I did, I could just reprint more. The more at this point, less that I don't want to have to fussy cut them again. It would take a long time. And then once I'm happy that all my little edges and everything have been caught, I will get an extra bit of scrap paper in a sec. Oh, I've got this bit. I forgot. Then I can kind of go to town with the rest of it. Don't have to be quite as careful. I like to hit the edges because that's the part that fray. The middle bit will stay together. One down the middle though. Okay, and then I'm gonna just make sure of this before I place it. Can't remember which way it went, so I'm trying both ways first. It's my glue dots, so it will come up if it happens to get stuck down, and if we happen to get some dots on the back side of this, it's fine because they'll rub off. There we go. And I'm pushing down really hard on the paper side, and then I can just open this up. I'm being gentle because I don't want to tear anything. My dots wouldn't have adhered yet, so I've got some time. I could have put down some sticky paper, some self-adhesive paper, sorry, beforehand, which would have made that part a little bit easier, but oh well, I learned. Bit of bend happening there. I do have some transfer of dots. We know very well that we can just rub this off with our fingers, so it's more the bend in the paper that annoys me as opposed to the dots, but that's fine. And then with the other bit that we cut, this is where we're going to hide it. just by sticking the other edge on. Now the hardest part of this is going to be, of course, I've got to line it up. I'm going to put tape all along here, and then I'm just going to rub the excess off afterwards. I feel like that'll be easier that way. I'm just going to line this up the best I can. I'm not going to stress too much about it because it is the back. I'm going to see it, but normal people looking in my planner probably won't. And so I think for that reason it will be okay. And then I'll stick this down. And then you can either do two things. You can use your finger again if you want to, or you can grab an eraser. I actually find the finger's fine, so I'm just going to use my finger just to rub these dots up. I probably put a little bit too many dots, but that's alright. I am still being careful though, because I don't want to accidentally grab any of that paper and tear it up. One more teeny tiny little trick, which I actually don't think I have to do because I think I'm okay. If you do rub your hand on there and you still feel some sticky and you can't get it off, like the rubbing doesn't get it off, the eraser doesn't get it off, grab yourself a little bit of powder, rub it over the top, because it will get rid of that sticky without you having to actually do anything to it. That's cool, and it's not going to get in the way of my rings too much, so that's good. There's a little bit of overhang. I actually think it looks kind of cool. I think if I was going to do it again, I'd make this sort of on vellum instead, so it was like a vellum thing, because I think these will get ratty over time, but again, things we learn. Alright, last but not least, we're going to put these on. I want this pocket's going to have to get a little bit smaller. Oh, actually, maybe not. That actually looks cooler than I thought it did. I thought it would, sorry. I am going to trim just this bottom flower off so that it's straight along the bottom. I'm also just going to curve off this top little bit. I just don't like the sharp little corner, so I've just fixed that up too. When it comes to vellum, vellum's a tricky beast, and it depends on how particular you want to be. I kind of like the fact that I can see the background through here, so I don't think it's going to bother me if I can see a little bit of tape. So I'm going to use some double-sided tape. I do prefer double-sided tapes to my glue dots. I'm just trying to make sure I get the right thickness of double-sided tape. I'm going to use this one, which is my super skinny one, and just put a run of it all around the outside of my pocket. Some people are very particular when it comes to vellum and being able to see the adhesive. I'm not that bothered by it. I can usually look past it, but we shall see. Sometimes I can't. Again, I cut this vellum out by hand, so it probably isn't straight. I kind of, again, like that look with this. I think it looks okay. Fits in there perfectly. I can stick our little this in here. That's why I've only got two. Now, if you wanted to, you could back to back these, because they are sort of almost square. Or you could like do that mirror thing that I showed you with the flowers so that they are perfectly mirrored. I like the fact that they're like that. And what you could do, I accidentally made a boo-boo before, but you could print, bug, go away. But you could print some of the other papers and put them on the back, just so you've got something a little bit more pretty. But you could also go a bit more crazy and decorate this more, but I actually think it's absolutely stunning. A little bit like this. Come on, under you go. Oh, vellum pockets, why don't you ever like me? I'm deliberately leaving them over on the right hand side because that way I can not see them when I do this. And the only other thing I'm going to do now is I did print this quote out. And I'm just going to fussy cut this out as a sort of a shadow. So I'm not getting super close. I'm just leaving like a little edge around it, around the words, sorry. this is maybe where some of the plain paper that you can print, like the plain colours, might work really beautifully if you wanted to have that on the front, because actually that sort of is getting lost. So, hold on. Alright, this is a little trick I do when I'm not quite sure what colour I want to use. I print out like a quad so I can pick which colour I want to use. I felt like I wanted to use the pale orange, and I'm right. I just wasn't sure if the text would show up, but that actual colour on colour looks really good. So I'm just trimming this out. I'm just using my trimmer because I find it easier. The hardest part here is going to be hiding the adhesive, because this is a little bit more tricky, this one. So I'm going to put, what? It's stuck. It's all good. I'm just going to grab just a tinsy bit. Actually, I love my very specific things, tinsy. I'm going to put a little bit on this little G on the side, and then I'll put some down the edge of the Y. I'll just grab a tinsy bit more and put that on the bottom of the D. You will be able to see it. I'm not even going to pretend that you won't, but I love the look of Vellum. I just think it gives such a fabulously diffused look. That's why I should have used it on the edge there, but I didn't think of it. Actually, you can barely tell that that's there. And then I'm just going to cut this out. I'm going to sort of shadow my shadow just a little. So I did this as a shadow cut before. I'm doing the exact same thing, just with a slightly bigger shadow. I'm just trying not to stuff that up, which I just did, but anyway. I always get a little bit too close on the rounds. Anyway. It's not a big deal. And that's the cool thing I think about the creative kits. If I really was worried about that, I haven't wasted a bit of paper. I've wasted a quarter of a bit of paper. I haven't even wasted a full bit. It's a quarter of a piece. I can print another one so super easily, even though I've had a couple of printer problems along the way today while I've been filming. It's honestly not an issue. So yes, that's better. Sometimes you just need a background. So I'm just using glue tape to just pop this on. You could put foam tape if you wanted, just to make it a little bit bolder. I like the subtleness. And there we have it. That's my little insert. So you can open it up. I could put another pocket on this side if I wanted to. I can have another kind of a list. There's more printables that you could go nuts with. I can obviously print out more of these as I see fit. Could even go back now and add these onto some of the backgrounds because they are just the right size. It's endless. Anything your imagination can do, the creative kit will allow you to do. All you need to do is get your head around the sizes. And sometimes it is easier to bring something into the real world to understand the size. And that's why something like this, actually having the exact size of what you want to use, sometimes can really help you, because it will just solidify in your head how big you need everything. And that is the exact right size because I did that. So I went the extra little bit to put it into the real world, and it worked. And just to chuck it into my planner so you can see. Hold on. That's what I forgot to do. And this is why I do things with you guys. I just forgot to do the couple of extra little hole punches. Voila. Opens up, has my pockets, has my notes, shuts up again. Could laminate this, you could laminate the whole thing if you wanted to, and just sort of fussy the edge or keep the edge straight. I actually may think about that because that's not a bad idea to make sure it stays longer. If I do that, I will put a picture up on Instagram. But thank you for hanging around for this one. I know it was a bit tedious sort of coming in and out of real life and computers and stuff, but I really wanted you guys to see that you don't need anything other than a computer to use these kits. You really don't. A pair of scissors and some glue is just as capable as your machines are. You can print this on sticker paper and just cut them out and use them as stickers. There's nothing wrong with hand cutting stickers. Honestly, there's not. If you want to take, if you don't have a printer at home, take it to Officeworks. You can take sticker paper to Officeworks, they will print on sticker paper. You can take cardstock to Officeworks, they will print on cardstock. You can give them any kind of paper and they will print on it. So you get to pick what kind of kind of paper you like, and you can then use it any way you like. You can print as many as you like. Limitless is what you get with these kits, and they are absolutely beautiful. There is something for everyone, I guarantee it. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. I hope you learned something. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for lots more videos using the PA kits. If you want to see more digital stuff, I will link some other videos using the digital creative kits down below. Don't forget to join in the planner party on the weekend. I'm going to try. Can't promise it, but I'm going to try really hard. So hopefully we'll get to see you there, and I hope you have an awesome, awesome day. I'll catch you in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!